We're back. Let's go. Victory Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well. How'd the weekend go for you? I hope your turkey day was as good as mine, but how could it be bad when you have the games going the way they did? I was kind of surprised about a couple of the outcomes. The Chiefs losing the Cowboys was surprising. But man, it was great to see the Packers beat the Lions in Detroit, sweep the Lions for the first time since 2020, which is crazy to think about. Stoked to be back. Hope you guys are having a great week. Hope everyone had a great holiday. Let's get into some of these comments. Stu says he's multitasking, keeping tabs on this and watching hockey. Man, I cannot believe that hockey season has already kicked back up. I had no idea. I don't follow hockey enough. I enjoy watching hockey when it's on, but I don't really follow it a ton. When I was younger, I used to really like watching hockey. I liked rooting for the Red Wings, and then as I got older, I'm like, I probably just picked them because they were really good when I was a kid. Like I play Sega like NHL 95 or whatever it was, and I think the Red Wings were fresh off a Stanley Cup win, so they were always the best team. So I think that's why I chose them. So as I got older, I was like, maybe I should find a whole new team entirely. But then I'm like, I don't have the energy and bandwidth to watch hockey and be a passionate hockey fan. So Stu, I'm curious who your team is for hockey. Corey over in New Ulm, good to see you. Good evening, everybody. Uncle Brian, good to see you checking in from Hudson. Good to see you as always. Hope you guys had a good turkey day. Chad is back home from the cruise ship for Bears week. Let's hope the game lives up to the hype and the Packers can come out on top. Chad, I hope it doesn't live up to the hype. I hope the Packers just absolutely annihilate them and there's not even a game. I hope it's just, I don't know. Maybe that's what you mean by living up to the hype. Hold on one second here. My one camera is just being difficult for me. I got to reset that real quick. Give me 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. I don't know what's up with that. Why it does that every once in a while. Sometimes I need to reset where the focus is. Otherwise, I have a camera that records everything for my clips and it like blurs in and out and then it makes it a nightmare. So appreciate you guys waiting patiently there. Go Pack Go. He says, what's up? Go Pack Go. Go Pack Go. Ron checking in from Appleton. Go Pack Go. Ron's going for the three-peat tonight. He's won the giveaway the last 2 weeks. Curious if he's going to get a third. Steve says, let me start off by saying welcome, owners, and the Bears still suck. Yes, the owners meeting. Great title. Definitely, I love that one. Heather, Go Pack Go. We got Stacy checking in. Go Pack Go from Georgia. See that question here. I'm going to save that. Go Pack Go 23. I'm going to save that till the Burning Hot question segment. Kirby's throwing shots already. Dakota can't skateboard. Shots fired. Dakota could skateboard. He had his day back in the day. So did I. And now, oh man, now that I'm getting older, I somehow tweaked my back while working today. I work at a desk and I somehow tweaked my back. And the idea that I used to like throw myself down flights of stairs skateboarding, just wild what happens when you get older, isn't it? Christy, hey, go Canucks, go. Yeah, cool. I mean, I don't follow hockey enough to know, but yeah, go Canucks, go. MJ, what's up, man? Go Pack, go. Stu says he's from the DC area, so it's the Capitals, but I do like Tampa Bay Lightning since I went to college there. Both are fair. Ty, good to see you as always, man. Appreciate you swinging in. Sway Coda, and then Barbara, good to see you as well. Sway Coda firing back. At least I can win giveaways, Kirby. Ooh, shots fired. Did we all recover nicely from our Thanksgiving day? Are we all feeling okay? I'm very fortunate. We went to my wife's uncle's house. I did not have to lift a finger for Thanksgiving. I brought some Uncle Mike's Kringle. That's about all I did. So that was pretty nice. Not having to not having to make anything, not having to clean up the dishes or anything like that. That was a big win. Nice to go there, hang out. My son was just wreaking havoc in their house, though, just terrorizing the entire place. And there's a lot of stairs there, so he's running up and down the stairs and just being a menace, just being a menace. So I might have missed a play or two here or there as I was kind of chasing him down for a little bit and allowing my wife to socialize. So we kind of went back and forth, but it wasn't it wasn't bad to miss some plays. There's some high stress moments where I was just like, all right, I'll just listen for the other room and kind of kind of step away. Steve says we need some smelling salts to help with the back. We'll see. I added too much water, I think, the other day to it because it's not like super soupy, but it's like not as potent because I think I added a little bit too much water. It still does the job. I still got a nice burn on it. It's just not as crazy. It'll dry out eventually. That's what it says to do. It says like it'll dry out and then you need to add a small amount of water. And I added too much water, but it'll dry out. Stacy's talking trash, hockey trash here. Sorry, Stu. Florida Panthers over here for the win. Shanika, hello. Good to see you as always. Barbara says, "Are you going to the Bears game?" I am not. My stepmom's gonna be coming in. She's gonna go to the Bears game with a friend, and they're gonna be staying at our house. But I'm not going down there. MJ says he watched the game at Turtle Lake Casino. That was a great place to watch the game. Were you out on the road, Chris? Hitting the open road. Hopefully, you didn't have to work too much out on the road, but that's the life of the trucker. It feels like you're always kind of out and about. So appreciate all you do for that because trucking industry is not an easy one. That's what I work in, so it's not an easy one. Here is that giveaway link. I forgot to post that. If it's your first time watching the live show, first off, thank you. But I post this giveaway link multiple times throughout the episode. Please only enter one time. I'm going to post it multiple times. Don't enter every single time. If you do, I got to clean it up and remove you and all that fun stuff. So just post it one time or just fill it out one time. You don't need to be here the entire time to win, but when I do the drawing, like right around 8:10, 8:15, something like that, when I do the drawing then, Central Time, when I do the drawing then, you do need to be here to claim your prize. So just make sure you're popping in and out. If you're like, hey, I'm busy, I kind of got you on in the background like Stu was talking about, just make sure you're kind of somewhat keeping an ear out for it or keeping an eye out for it. So let's see here. Well, let's talk about this game. First off, I guess before we do that, there's kind of some breaking news today that the Packers and Bears game that's in Chicago, so not this weekend's game, but the one that's in Chicago, not next weekend, but the weekend following that, that has been moved to Saturday night. It's now the primetime game on Saturday night, December 20th. It'll be at 7:20. So order your coffee now if you need to. I know I'll be needing some extra coffee, but thankfully it's on a Saturday night. Maybe I can get a nap in on Sunday. Hopefully at that point the Packers have 3 more wins and we can be looking at wrapping up the division or so. But talking about this Packers game, Packers beat the Lions 31-24. Packers advance to 8-3-1, where the Lions fall to 7-5. What a big game to win. That one, I mean, we're in the middle of that hefty stretch, right? We have Bears 2 times in 3 weeks. We have Minnesota yet. We have Denver coming up. Denver's not as big of a deal, but it is a tight NFC race right now, and you cannot afford to have losses. You need to keep winning to even stay in this. I think I saw that right now the Bears are the number 1 seed, and if they lose on Sunday to the Packers, they will fall to the 7th seed in the NFC. The NFC is extremely competitive right now. And so you really cannot afford to slip up. We'll be talking about the Bears matchup here, and I'll show some stats later on. But man, they have a lot of really good things going for them, And I don't know. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but we're talking about the Lions game right now. Halftime show. I didn't get to watch a ton of it. I was chasing around my toddler, but I did go back and rewatch it. I thought that was a really fun halftime show. I thought it was a really nice production. Jack White, I like Jack White. White Stripes was a great band that I listened to a lot when I was a teenager. And then Eminem, I listened to a lot of Eminem when I was younger. Still enjoy listening to Eminem, but I thought that was fun that they brought him in, and he was, both Detroit natives, and I thought that was a really well done halftime show. Curious how you guys felt about it. I thought it was a nice. Was it Jack Harlow that we got a couple of years ago? That was kind of an odd halftime show, so I thought it was a nice change of pace from that. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, the game, there's a lot of big plays that had one of those flipped the other way. That game's probably a completely different outcome. The Packers converted on 3 for 3 on fourth downs, and got points on at least a couple of those. Where that doesn't go that way, then who knows? Dan Campbell got a little bit too aggressive. He kind of bit off a little bit too much and maybe gambled a little too heavy. That kind of has been his thing during his time in Detroit. It's cost him a lot of games being too aggressive. I think with the NFC Championship game in 23, I think that was one year where he got a little too aggressive, if I'm not mistaken, and it ended up costing them that game. But him going for it on that final fourth down, because they went 0-2 on fourth down conversions. Him going for it on that final fourth down when they were down by 10, you could have kicked the field goal, been down by 7. Instead, you go for it. Jameson drops the first down conversion, and now rather than being a 1 score, you're still a 2 score, and it just kind of made it a weird dynamic. I think Dan Campbell's a great coach, but I think if there is something to say is sometimes being a little too aggressive can come back to bite you. Now, he's had a lot of success because of it. Matt kind of copied his playbook, was very aggressive, and it worked out well this time. But like I said, if we don't capitalize on a couple of those where we scored touchdowns on a couple of those, it's a completely different game, and that's the tough part. Now, frankly, on the other side of the coin, if they would have settled for field goals on those, we might not be celebrating a victory Tuesday as well. So it is that tough balance. But Jared Goff finished the day 20 of 26, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he was sacked 3 times. Gibbs, I mean, their running back duo is so good. Gibbs and Montgomery. Gibbs finished the day 20 attempts on 68 for 68 yards, and Montgomery had 8 attempts for 32 yards. And then Jameson Williams, he really stepped in big. That dude's a playmaker. I mean, just speed, and he was the only wide receiver weapon, it felt like, and he was just getting all the targets. 7 receptions for 144 yards and a touchdown. Felt like the Packers couldn't cover him, which it's always concerning when you see that, right? That's the only guy that you had to really worry about with St. Brown going out, and he just torched you. Welcoming the Bears this weekend, that's going to be another tall task for our defense, and hopefully our defense is there for it. Let me check up some of these comments here. I always get a little bit backtracked, and then I try to take a break in the game recap. Stu said Thanksgiving was good. Spent it with my wife and her family. Went to the Sunday night game to support my brother, who's a Broncos fan, and it was really exciting. I knew Washington was going to play well, and glad it was close. Paid good money. Yeah, that was a phenomenal game. I mean, they really kept it close, and it was a hard fought game for them. Because it wasn't in Mile High, right? Because you're in Washington, you said so. I'm curious how that stadium is, because did they just open up that stadium? I think they just opened it up not long ago, right? Like, I'm curious how that stadium compares to maybe some of the other ones you've been to. That Detroit game, I can't believe they couldn't get it going, but they kept scoring, and we scored. I was mad at the refs, didn't call PI. Yeah, the refs let them play a little bit. I think some Detroit fans are probably still crying about the game. Man, I don't know. I get it. There's always frustrations when there's calls that maybe you don't agree with. That Wicks touchdown was close. Uh, Ultimately, 2 feet down was pretty clear to spot there. It's not like he's bobbling the ball around. The ball can move as you're transferring it arms, but I don't know. It's just one of those. I feel like Detroit fans can be very vocal about refs. They weren't complaining about the no DPI on Watson or the lack of holding calls on the offensive line for the Lions, but they're complaining about everything else. Brittany, good to see you. So, speaking of Brittany, I saw Brittany at Walmart this weekend. And if you ever see me out about, I'm a pretty awkward dude. But I'm walking to Walmart. We're going to check out, my wife, son, and and I hear something over by the self checkout. So I'm like looking, kind of scanning, and I scan and I see Brittany. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Brittany. Like I've never met her in person, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure. I think that's Brittany. I'm not 100% sure. And then it's one of those things that, like, as your brain's processing it, she turned and looked at me. So then it looks like I'm just like staring at her. So then I did that thing like where I'm like looking away because I'm like, I don't know if that's her. I'm not going to wave. And now I just look like I'm staring at her. So if you ever do meet me in person, sorry if I'm awkward. I'm an awkward dude. Uh, just throwing that out there for you guys in case you ever meet me. Um, Steve says Parsons is really starting to ball out. I couldn't agree more. You need it, right? We need that defense to kick it up to another level as we make this stretch. Jackie, shout out Jackie. Good to see you, Jackie. Jackie and I worked together years and years ago, and we remained good friends. And actually, in my interview, she was one of the people that interviewed me. We talked Packers football, and I think that's what got me the job. So good to see you, Jackie. I was surprised that they didn't kick the field goal at that point. I really was. It just really seemed like one of those that you take the points to make it a single possession. They had the right play call. They had the guy open, but that's sometimes where you gamble and you lose. Steve says losing Wyatt hurt me deep inside. Yeah, I mean that's a big one. Even Iowa Joe's talking about next year. That's a really tough one. That is a really tough one. Stu says Northwest Stadium was built in 96, but because Washington has not had the best season and Denver's on the opposite swing, it was mostly Broncos fans. New stadium, DC, is due to be completed by 2030. Okay, yeah, I have zero idea. I guess that makes sense because they just got new ownership in Washington, and there's no way that stadium would already be done with that. Brittany says we locked eyes and had the same thought. Is that you? Yep. See, I went to, when we were pregnant with our son, we were going to a lot of garage sales to buy just find like random cheaper baby clothes. And we went to this garage sale one time and someone had some Packers like onesies and they were really nice condition. So we bought every one they had. And as we're going to check out, the guy's like, "Oh, are you the Green Bay guy?" And I'm so awkward. I've gotten better about it now, but like I'm very awkward in the sense that I just don't know what to say or how to. And I'm just like, "Oh yeah, I'm Ben. Nice." Like I don't even think I said nice to meet you. I was just like so awkward about it. It was like that scene from Dumb and Dumber where Jim Carrey walks out and there's just the guy standing there. He's like, "Oh, big gulps, huh? All right, well, see you later." That's how I feel like I interact. And I probably just hyperanalyze things, but yeah, I'm just an awkward dude. So I apologize if you meet me. If you meet me and I'm awkward, that's why. I'm just an awkward dude. All right, but let's get back to this game. Packers. Shout out to Matt LaFleur. Finished that game, really coached well. It feels like Matt's got to be kind of like a vindictive coach in a way, in the sense that he probably circles games on his calendar, and those are the ones that he's just mentally ready for, because it feels like those Thanksgiving games against Detroit, he comes in and he is just on a different game plan, very aggressive against Detroit, which frankly you need to be aggressive against Detroit. Detroit has a high-powered offense and they can put up points no matter how good your defense is. They can put up points. So you cannot afford to be conservative in those games. You need to put up all the points you can get. Had Jordan not underthrown Bo on that one, could have had a 5 touchdown day, but he finished the day 18 of 30, 234 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jacobs finished the day 17 attempts, rushing attempts for 83 yards. Wicks, hell of a game by Wicks. I mean, 6 for 94, 2 touchdowns. That one, I still don't know how he caught that, splitting the defenders and just taking a big hit on his way out of bounds, but thankfully he did. Watson had 4 for 80 on that 51, and including that 51-yard touchdown, and Dobbs the 1 touchdown on the 4th and goal, or maybe it was 4th and 2. It might not have been 4th and goal, but offensive line, shout out to them, 0 sacks allowed. I saw a lot of Lions fans were very frustrated about Hutchinson's lack of getting to the quarterback. I also saw a great meme that was like Micah Parsons on Thursday, and it showed him like hitting Goff, sacking Goff, doing all these things, being disruptive in the game. And then it said Hutchinson on Thursday, and it was just every ad he was in, the State Farms, I don't know, whatever ads. He's in like a bunch of ads right now. So, I think I would rather have Micah, that's for sure. Speaking of Micah finished the day 2.5 sacks, first player in NFL history to have 12 or more sacks in the first 5 seasons of their career. Just a special player. Just seems to be getting better and better each week. We did talk about the injury to Devontae Wyatt. That could be huge. You can hope that Brinson can step into that role and help maybe lessen that loss. But that is a big loss to this defense, especially as you're heading into an offense that is very good at running the ball, which we'll be talking about that soon. I'm going to be dropping that giveaway link soon, or giveaway here. And we're going to get into the burning hot questions soon. So if you do have burning hot questions, start dropping them. I want to answer a lot of questions and have a lot of fun. Doesn't have to be football related. Could be anything. We've had questions about aliens in the past, Thanksgiving dishes, all that fun stuff. MJ says we're 3-0 with love on Thanksgiving. He has looked great on Thanksgiving, but as Brittany says, it's Toyotathon. So let's see here. All right. Steve says there's some burning hot questions coming in here. So let's get into that. Let's jump into this. And before we do anything, I want to say thanks to my friends at Legendaries for being proud sponsors of the show and sponsoring this segment. I've said this a million times, and if you've listened to every episode this year, I apologize for how often you have to hear it, but I love me some Legendaries. And if you are coming into town, there is not a place I can recommend more than Legendaries. And I've been saying that well before they've been supporting the show, well before they've been supporting my social media, all that stuff. I've been a big Legendaries fan for a lot of time, many years. So definitely go check them out if you come into town. Go Pack Go 23 says, who is your favorite Packer right now? Great question. Favorite Packer right now? Boy, that's a tough one. I am a big Edgerrin Cooper fan. I always like, I don't know why, but I've always liked the linebacker role. I like how fierce they can play the game, and I think Edgerrin's a phenomenal linebacker. And so I think that's my favorite player right now. There are like a lot of guys that I really like, but I think Edgerrin's my favorite player right now. I'm curious who's your favorite player right now on this team? It could be someone as big as a Micah or someone as kind of minor as like a Zane Anderson. I'm curious who your favorite players are. Steve says, burning hot question, favorite Christmas movie. This is a good one. So I've mentioned that we have me and the boys, Kirby, Chad, and Dakota, we have a group chat thing that we got going on. And we talk Christmas stuff a lot. So right now, I just watched Christmas with the Cranks this past weekend. Solid one. Not my favorite, but that's a solid movie. I forgot how good that one is. We watched, what else did we watch? Jingle all the no, Santa Claus with Tim Allen, 94 classic. Phenomenal movie there as well. But my favorite, I really like 8-Bit Christmas. That's a newer one with Neil Patrick Harris. Dad's telling his story about his pursuit to getting a Nintendo, um, which as a child who grew up in the 90s, there was always like that excitement or that pursuit to get like a video game system. I remember one year when I was a kid, one year we got a Nintendo. One year we got a Super Nintendo, and then when I was a little bit older, we got an N64, which was a pretty wild. So like I could relate a lot to that movie. I really love that one. And then I also think Jingle All the Way is one of my favorite ones with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Sinbad. I think that's a phenomenal one, filmed in St. Paul, which is great. But yeah, those are probably mine. I'm curious your guys's on those. I see some flown in. Kirby's is Home Alone. That's a really good one too. That's got to be up there for me as well. Chad's coming in with a great one here. So Chad says, "What is your favorite Packers versus Bears memory?" Oh boy, Chad, that is a phenomenal one. There are so many great memories when it comes to the Packers and Bears. We've been very fortunate as Packers fans to be on the favorable side for a lot of big games. The Packers versus Bears to go to the Super Bowl, the 2018 season where the Packers were down big at halftime, came back and won the game. 2013, he's got Randall Cobb. There are, the 42 points at halftime. Was it 42-0 2014 season? So many great ones. I was at that 2014 season game, but my favorite Packers Bears memory comes January 2011, the final home game of the 2010 season. Win and you're in the postseason. I went to that game with a friend of mine. We sat in the outdoor club seats, and it was so cold, and I was so underdressed. It's the only time during a game that I've left my seat at halftime. We went and sat up inside the club level just to warm up a little bit. But that game was a very close game, defensive battle, back and like it was just such a tight game the entire time. And the Bears had the ball. I think the final ended up being like 10-3, if I'm not mistaken. But the Bears had the ball and they were driving the field, and Cutler overthrew, I think it was overthrew Knox, and Nick Collins intercepted it, which Nick was always there for those big plays. It just felt like Nick just made plays when they needed to be made. Kind of him and Tremont always felt like those guys that just always kind of made those big plays. And Nick intercepted that ball, and the way the stadium erupted and the atmosphere on the way out, the Go Pack goes, the Bears still suck, all of that on the way out, it just felt so electric. It felt like it was like you witnessed something special. And then you have that be kind of like you get thrown into the postseason the next week, and the run they win on, and to win the Super Bowl after that, like it was just such a fun start to a great postseason and a great memory. So I think when it comes to Packers Bears games that I've seen in person, that's probably my favorite memory for sure. But there's been so many great ones. I've seen a lot of Packers Bears games, and funny enough, the worst game I've ever been to is a Packers Bears game as well, which is the retirement in 2015. But love that question, man. Chris says, if I come to town for Legends, I'll have the semi who's going to be my Uber. There's parking lots across the street, man. There's I think like a grocery store thing across the street. You could probably park there and just walk over. But Can't help you there, unfortunately. Stu says canned cranberry sauce or the homemade stuff. It's probably because I've had the canned stuff so much at my grandfather's house growing up that it's still part of my childhood nostalgia. So I go with that. I've actually really never had either. But I it's so funny how those like you could have a lesser product and enjoy it more just because that's what you grew up with or that's what you know. So I definitely relate to that because there are a lot of things that I love that are just it's just terrible. Like a homemade version is superior, like so superior, and I still prefer the terrible version because that's what I've grown up with. But I've never been much of a cranberry sauce in general. Maybe one of these years I'll have to try it. I almost tried it this year. I didn't. But I keep it pretty boring. I keep it pretty boring for Thanksgiving. Jesse says, burning hot question. How many touchdowns do you think Reed will have if he's able to go against the Bears? My prediction is Reed will have 3 touchdowns. Whew, that's aggressive. That's an aggressive prediction. I hope you're right. The Packers offense is tough because it's really, it feels like everyone kind of has their data feast, right? Wicks on Thanksgiving. If you'd asked me prior to Thanksgiving, I wouldn't have guessed Wicks was going to have the breakout game. So I don't know that we'll see 3 out of Reed, but if he's back and he's ready to go, I'd love to see him get a couple at least. But who knows? It could be Matthews Day to finally get his, and it wouldn't surprise me if he got 2. You just never know with this Packers offense who's going to be the flavor of the week. Ooh, that's a good one too. Steve says National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is the best. That's a good one. Heather says her favorite players right now are Gary and Dobbs. Phenomenal choices there. All right. Stacy, do you think LaFleur will let Love continue to throw the ball, or do you think he'll go back to the run game? Great question. I think it just depends on what's going to work. I think as we look at the Bears, they'll be posting kind of averages for what both teams are allowing. And I think it just depends on how he feels he can control the game. Hopefully he still lets Love sling it because I think Love is a phenomenal arm talent. But, he's going to keep it balanced no matter what. His offense is built around the run game being established. So Jesse says my favorite two favorite are Xavier and Carrington. Carrington is such a character. That's another good pull. Steve says I'm a big fan of Whelan. Dude, how about Whelan? That guy just bomb, kicking bombs. I love that guy. That's one of those things that in my lifetime, I feel like we haven't had really a great Packers punter. I thought when we drafted J.K. Scott that we were going to see this dude just, kicking bombs. But yeah, big fan of Whelan as well. Kirby says Sega Dreamcast. Did you get one of those one year for Christmas? I'm always a little bit delayed on these comments, but Sega Dreamcast was an underrated system. MJ says, Grumpier Old Men. Tell me I'm wrong. That's a Christmas movie. I love that movie as well. Stu says, might be lazy, but my favorite current Packer is Jordan Love. Also, Whelan. Dude is a field changer. Absolutely. Steve's favorite Packer Bear memory, Cobb with the game winner. Cobb for the win in the NFC Championship. Hard to go against the NFC Championship game. Favorite Packer of all time, Donald Driver. Favorite current Packer, Jay Love. And of course, Bo. Of course, Bo. You got to have Bo. Tremont. To the Raji. Josh says, worried at all about this upcoming Bears/Pack game? I'm not. I do think the Bears are a phenomenal team, and I think the Bears could absolutely win the game. But as I've said many times, like as I've gotten older, I don't really worry about games as much, especially regular season games, just because it's like what will be, and I can't control it. Postseason, I get a little bit more nervous. I mean, I get nervous for games, but I try not to waste too much energy kind of getting worried about games. But the Bears are a good team. We're going to talk about the breakdown of stats here soon. Burning hot question: do the Bears still suck? My wife when she'd ask me questions, that's how I'd always respond. Be like, I don't know, do the Bears still suck? And so that's kind of always been um, my response to her. Um, let's we're gonna be doing the giveaway here soon. We might talk about the Bears first, just given where we're at in time. We might talk about the Bears game, and it might be a good transition to that. Raymundo, good to see you, my friend. Um, so let's talk about this Bears game. We're getting a lot of questions about it, so let's get into this Bears game, and then we'll do the giveaway. Generally, Bears the talk about the upcoming opponents not super long, but we're running a little bit leaner or a tighter ship tonight. We're a little bit quicker through the stages, but actually, before I throw that overlay up, I'm gonna move this here. So Packers and Bears, a lot of history between these two. These two first kicked off, first played each other back in 1921, and since then the Packers lead the series 108 to 96 and 6 ties along the way. They are 1-1 against each other in the postseason. The Bears beat the Packers in the postseason back in 1941, and the Packers beat the Bears in the 2010 postseason to head to Super Bowl 45, where they defeated the Patriots, the Steelers, 31-25. Mixing up my Super Bowls here. Like we talked about, a lot of phenomenal meetings between these two. 2013 Packers, the 2018 home opener. We didn't talk about was the Carl Brooks blocked field goal from last season. That was a fun one. We've been on so many good sides of games against the Bears that's another place that I feel like fans don't realize how lucky we are. You know, you think about when Brett Favre took over at helm and where this rivalry was at, where the record was at, and the ground the Packers have covered in that time frame. And I know, it's always kind of I don't know. I don't want to say annoying, but you know, it is always kind of annoying when your divisional rivals start doing good again, especially if they've been bad for a while. And the fans come out of the woodworks and they start chirping. But man, I love if there's one thing I do enjoy about it, I love the rivalry that it brings with it. It's nice to feel like there is a rivalry again. There's a little bit of fight, you know, coming from the Bears, and they very well could win Sunday. It would not surprise me with how their team is and their offense and what they've been doing. I still think the Packers win, of course, but it's gonna be a tough game. But I like having that rivalry. It's been a while since the Bears felt like they were competitive. They've kept games close and they've done good things, but it really hasn't felt like a rivalry in a very long time. So it's kind of good to have that back. I think rivalries are good for the NFL, and it is one thing that's interesting to me is, and I saw this with Detroit prior to Thanksgiving, the amount of comments that I'll get like trash talking ahead of the game, which is always a weird thing to me of like, I don't understand why you would trash talk and like be like, oh, wait until Thanksgiving, and then your team loses and you look silly. So I'm not much of a trash talker, but I'm seeing that with Bears fans now. Everyone's, coming out of the woodwork. I didn't know Bears fans really. I hadn't seen a Bears fan on my social media since about 2018. They're probably in hibernation or something, but it's good to see them back out and alive and healthy. I was concerned about them for a minute, but yeah, they're all coming out of the woodwork here and chirping. But let's see. I got a whole lot of comments here. Josh said it's just one of those matchups that really hurt if it doesn't go our way. That's that's the NFL, right? That's why we love the game. You got to have stakes to it, right? So if it doesn't go our way, then we'll see where the season takes us. So you're not defined by one game, but also at the same time, like you need to take care of games. So Kirby's arch nemesis is Ron because he has a knack of winning the giveaways. Ron watched all last year, and I don't think Ron won a single one. So Ron's just catching up now. Will says, Bears fan here, excited to hear your insights on the game. Hey, appreciate it, Will. Yeah, I keep it relatively respectful. I think rivalries are great, and I don't trash talk. Even if the Packers beat the Bears, I'm not going to be trash talking. I think there's a lot of respect I have for the Bears. I think Packers and Bears like brotherly, right? Like they go all the way back. These two franchises have helped each other along the way, and there's been a lot of bad blood. It's like you're competing with your brother. Where Detroit always kind of feels like the little cousin or something, right? Minnesota is like that the one that no one likes in the family or something. I don't know. Um, hey, Bill, good to see you. Checking in from El Paso. I don't think I've heard anything definitive on Golden. I'm hoping he can go this week, but I don't think I've heard anything definitive at that. Brittany says, I met Reed on Friday and asked if he was going to be back, and he just gave me a big smile and zipped his lips. I think he will. I think we'll see him back, but we'll see. He's from Chicago area, so I'm sure he has this on one on his calendar. Will says, same here. I have a lot of respect for the history of this rivalry. I live for these weeks, even though they hurt very often. Yeah, yeah, you guys have been, especially. My mic's still. Are we back? There we go. Okay. Yeah, weird. All right. I think we're good. I think we're back. I don't know if you guys could hear me that entire time, but on my end, it looked like I had no audio. So um, sorry about that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know based off of your profile picture. It looks like you're kind of young. So you haven't seen, you've been on the wrong, the other side of it for a little bit. But I love the moves the Bears have made and how they're trying to become competitive again. I think they made a lot of smart offseason acquisitions with beefing up their offensive line, kind of giving Caleb something to work with. But it'll be a great one. I'm excited for it. I love the rivalry, like I said. Raymundo says, how is the lifestyle in Green Bay? Is it common to run into players? Like that sounds so awesome. Yeah, it's not abnormal. There's been plenty of times where you're just like out at Walmart or I don't know. I was at Target and I saw Xavier walk by me. I was at the mall prior to a game just a few weeks ago. I can't remember which game it was, but I was just at the mall and Josh Jacobs was there. Like you just see him out and about. It's not abnormal. But one thing is like as a Green Bay local that I feel like it's kind of the unwritten rule is you just leave them alone. You'll see them out. One time I went to Chipotle. I might have told this story on here before, but one time I went to Chipotle by Lambeau Field, and there's a guy in front of me. He's wearing a hoodie and he has his hood up, and he's taking forever. And I'm like, I'm next, and this dude's just taking forever. He's getting a lot of different things, and I had just gotten off of work and I wanted to go home. It was a Friday. I think it was a Friday night. But I was just done with work. I wanted to go home. And this dude in front of me is just taking forever. And I'm getting irritated just because I was just in that mood. And I get up next to him to order mine. And I look over and it's Jordy Nelson. And I'm like, all right, you know, take your time. Take your time, Jordy. Yeah, my bad. But yeah, it's not abnormal. And you just generally you give them a nod or you just kind of, you know, just don't even say anything. But yeah, I've seen a lot of Mike Daniels. I saw at Walmart one night with his wife. You just kind of see them all over the place. The really fun thing is one time I was taking my brother and sister-in-law were flying somewhere, and they were flying out of Green Bay because I think they got a cheaper flight. And we were dropping them off at the same time all the Packer players were going to the airport. So we were kind of like driving in traffic, like Devonta Adams was next to us, and we dropped him off when all the Packers players were walking into the airport. So it's not uncommon to see them. Steve says I blame Kirby for the technical difficulties. Nice, man. 25 talking ball on YouTube. Cool, man. I'll have to check out your stuff. I appreciate you stopping in. Appreciate you hanging out. And hey, you got a lot of positive things to look forward to, from the Bears perspective and what you're doing. I'll have to check it out after I get done with this. Raimundo, I'm a California man. I just can't believe that. How amazing. I wouldn't know how to act. I wouldn't want to bug them and be that person, but I'd also love a picture autograph. I think it's a time or place. It's like one of those things of if they're somewhere where they're like, if they're at the stadium doing their thing, you see a lot of Packer players at the pro shop, oddly enough, because they're buying stuff for family or whatever. But yeah, you just kind of give them a like, hey, what's up, man? Or a nod or whatever, and you kind of be on your way. But anyway, going back to the Bears, let's take a look at the stats breakdown. Kind of like Detroit. I mean, Chicago is running it on offense. They have a phenomenal offense, which is no surprise. Their rushing yards per game averaging 153.8, which when you're looking at the where that lands in the NFL, they are second in the NFL for rushing yards, 153.8. Defensively, though, the Packers, the averages are more in their favor. Defensively, the Packers are top 8 in everything. Rushing yards allowed per game is 8th in the NFL at 98.3. So you're going to have a run game that's really effective. Ben Johnson does a great job of making his running back have lanes. So it's going to be a great chess game there. Where the Bears, and now this is overall, I feel like as of late, the Bears have gotten a little bit better with this. They really stifled Eagles' offense last week. But their defense, they had some injuries, and I think they're getting guys back too. So that's probably playing part in it. But the Bears' average defense has just not been as favorable for them. When it comes to their defense, they are like their best is 22nd ranked, and that's their passing yards per game. Rushing yards allowed per game, 28th on average. Points allowed per game, 25th in the NFL with 25.6. Total yards per game, averaging 359 yards per game on average, which is 27th in the NFL. So defensively, they have a lot of improvement to make. But I say that, and from a turnover differential, the Bears are on a whole nother level. They're number 1 in the NFL right now with a plus 17. They take care of the football, and they take away the football too. 17 interceptions, 9 fumble recoveries on the year. They are generating some big plays there. So if the Packers want to be successful, obviously need to stop the run. You need to make Caleb try to beat you with his arm. You need to get your pressures with Micah and the other defensive line, and you need to capitalize on that potentially weaker defense. But it is going to be a tough one. And obviously, you can't turn the ball over. You got to take care of the football. So it's going to be a good one. I'm excited about it. There's a lot to be excited about. But it's, both teams are going to be wanting a win there. And I do think we talked about Matt being kind of somewhat vindictive. I think this is another one. Ben Johnson said in his presser earlier when he got hired that he got really used to beating Matt LaFleur 2 times a year or something like that. And so he looks forward to continuing that. Matt saw that, he circled that on his calendar. So I'm excited to see what, I don't know. I'm excited to see how that goes. No link, add me. All right, Kirby. We'll see. Brittany says, I get excited to see the players, but I also get really excited to see the Wags. Yeah, I mean, it's you just I know everyone loves to see the Wags or the what is it? Is wives? What does WAG stand for? It's like wives and girlfriends. Okay, yep, that's right. Yeah, I know everyone they always do such a good job in the community and being involved. So it's always great seeing them as well. All right, let's do this giveaway. We kind of shuffled things around, but let's do this giveaway here. Last kind of couple seconds here to get in on that while I read this ad read here quick to keep the lights on. So obviously I wouldn't be able to do these giveaways without my friends over at Nicolay Law. So a quick shout out to them, the personal injury law firm who knows the Midwest because they are part of it. They're not some out of town firm guessing how things work around here. Nicolay Law is local. Russell's from Green Bay. They live in the communities they serve and understand what folks around here really need when things go wrong. Someone who shows up, listens, and gets results. If you've been injured and aren't sure what to do next, call Nicolay Law. They know how to deal with the insurance companies so you do not have to, and get you what is fair so you can focus on recovery. Call 1-855-NICOLAY or head to nicolaylaw.com and work with a team the Midwest trusts. All right, let's get into this giveaway. I got to add some needy guy named Rigged Kirby. 1 second here. Sorry, guys. I got to get this. All right. Here's the deal. We've done a couple multiple giveaways the last couple weeks, so we can't keep doing that. I'm gonna run out of prizes. So even if Ron gets the trifecta, I'm not doing a duplicate drawing tonight. Otherwise, I got to go buy more prizes and can't be doing that. All right, Kirby, I got you on the bottom here. I got Rigged Kirby there, right there for you, so you know you're there. I didn't even check to see if these are any duplicates, but I don't think so. Let me just do a quick glance. I don't think so. It doesn't look like it. All right, here we go. Good luck, everyone. We got Liz on the board. Congratulations, Liz. Liz, if you are there, give me a number 1 through 35, up or down. And then, we'll see what you won. And if Liz is not there, we'll give her a couple minutes. Because I did things out of order tonight. It's a little wonky on this. Usually I kind of jump into the next thing. And if Liz is not there in a couple minutes, we are going to be redrawing. Dakota. Congrats, Liz. Ha ha ha, Kirby. Sorry, Stacy. I just now got this. I do the link multiple times throughout the episode, so sorry I missed it. It's always a little weird. Sorry. Next time, let me know ahead of time and I can get you added. So apologies that I missed you tonight. There she is, 10 and up. All right, Liz, let's see what you got. Man, the stack of giveaways is getting lower and lower. We have not had a jersey giveaway winner yet, so maybe tonight is the night. Liz, we're up to 28. Feeling lucky. I don't know if you're feeling lucky. You already won this, but let's see what we got. And I do not know what's in each envelope, by the way. I randomize it after the fact. So I write down all the prizes, I mix them all over, and then I just grab random envelopes, mix those all up, and then I write numbers on them. So, Liz, you got yourself a Frank Winters 8x10, signed 8x10, old bag of donuts. Congratulations. I will shoot you an email to get your address. So congratulations. I think I'm going to get that out this week, if I'm not mistaken. I got to get Liz's out, and then I also got to get Luke's out, who won last week. Ron, I got your gift cards out earlier, so you should be getting those soon. All right, let's talk about the story of the week and get out of here to have a great week. So I always end the week, if you're new here, I always like to end the week with a random story of the week. I think there's a lot of fun history, and I like to share that with you guys. So tonight's a good one. I'm curious on how many of you know this too, but the Green Bay Packers are one of the most historic teams in NFL history, if not the most historic. But they were almost completely known by a completely different name than the Packers. Back in 1921, the team's original sponsor, the Acme Packing Co., was in a financial mess. They were upside down by the equivalent of more than $60 million in today's money, and plenty of people in Green Bay took real losses on that investment. So the when the Packers reorganized in 1922, let me back up. So when the Green Bay Packers reorganized in 1922, Curly Lambeau and George Calhoun tried to distance themselves from the Acme Packing Co. entirely. They rolled out completely new branding. On official team stationery, they listed their team name as the Green Bay Football Club, formerly Packers. That's why when you're seeing like the 1923 throwback stuff, you see a lot of stuff say Green Bay Football Club. It's because the Packers were trying to rebrand themselves. Calhoun, who was writing for the Green Bay Press Gazette at the time, did everything he could to avoid calling the Packers the Packers. He called the team the Big Blues, the Bays, the Big Blue Bays, pretty much anything that wasn't Acme Packing or making people think of the Packers. Well, none of it worked. No one else called them the Big Blues or the Big Bays or the Big Bay Blues or whatever. Everyone around the nation still called them the Packers. And it didn't help that the Green Bay Football Club wasn't exactly financially stable. It was actually underfunded, struggled immediately, and by January of 1923, the NFL stepped in and reassigned the franchise to a brand new public corporation, which is structured which is the structure that the Packers still operate with today. Once that happened, everyone dropped the whole new name shtick. The Press Gazette went back to calling them the Packers, and the team embraced it again. But there was just a fraction of a time where maybe we would all be fans of the Big Blues or the Big Blue Bays, if not for that decision to jump back, and if the Green Bay Football Club would have been a successful rebrand. So it's just interesting how these things work. I'm thankful it's the Green Bay Packers, and I'm not a fan of the Green Bay Big Blue Bays or whatever. I don't know. I'm curious how many of you knew that story. That's definitely an interesting one. But you know, that's the beautiful thing with the Packers and their history. There's so many like weird things like that you know, have happened over the 100+ years. That makes it such an interesting one. First time watching your podcast, my son Mike watches and follows. Oh yeah, I talk to Mike all the time, or at least I talk to him a lot more way back in the day. Mike's a great guy, so appreciate you being here, Stacy, and hanging out. Heather says, not a fan of being Big Blue. Yeah, you don't want to be the Big Blue Bays, Big Bay Blues, whatever. You don't want to be a fan of them, but yeah, you know, I was wondering why, like, when I see things out and about, I'm always curious about it. So when I saw the Green Bay Football Club, I was like, man, why is it all issued that? And you know, there's just a lot of fun Packers history that's kind of very murky with record keeping, but it goes back a long way. So it's always interesting. Big Blue sounds like a Canadian beer brand, yeah, right? I'm sure there's maybe I'll have to do a story about the Packers and their cheerleaders at some time. I feel like it's on my list. I have a list of stories that I try to use or I want to use going forward. So appreciate you guys hanging out. It was a fun time chatting. Always have a good time with you guys. I know I say this a lot, but really I appreciate you guys immensely. There's a lot of you that are here week in and week out and really make this a fun place to hang out, chat Packers. Absolutely love the comments and the interactions you all provide, and without you guys, this would just be me talking to myself for an hour, and it's a whole lot more enjoyable talking with you guys. So I owe you all immensely, and it's such a blast getting to hang out with you at the owners meeting every Tuesday at 7:30 Central. So hope you guys all have a great week. I plan on seeing you same time, same place next week. Hopefully celebrating another Victory Tuesday. And until then, have a great rest of your week and go Pack Go.